Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Jen Sorensen, and in today's episode of Quilt-Tea, because yes, that's right, I don't like coffee, but I drink lots of tea, and we're talking about quilts, so we are going to talk about my Dream Diamonds quilt. This is one that I love dearly for a number of reasons. I made this quilt in 2013, which feels like forever ago, and I can't believe I'm still talking about this quilt already. But again, I find it really, really important to document the story behind quilts that we make. I have a quilt from my great-grandmother and I don't know anything about it. I don't understand the story, the materials, how did she make it, why. I want to keep a tradition going and starting really about talking about quilts and the stories so that future generations can understand the love that went into making them, because every one of these quilts is a labor of love. This one I designed and made because I was playing around and I was on this big kick, which you'll see over time, making quilts with secondary designs. And this quilt is really cool because there are so many opportunities to look at different designs. I'm gonna put down my tea, not only because it's hot, but because I wanna point out a few things to you. So down, that's really hot. Okay, so with this quilt, the block is actually right here. It's not square, and that's what's really cool about it, is it allows for some really unique designs and unique angles. In this particular version that I made, we've got kind of this pinwheel effect that kind of, with the purple, that just blends together. It's like you've got one pinwheel here, but this point is part of this pinwheel over here. You've got these little orange stars, and I'm going to bring you in closer to show you a little bit more. But then, and this is a really cool thing about this quilt and why I made it and designed it, is this gray, almost if you were to do something different, that gray becomes a star as well. And it looks like the background in here. So that was kind of what was going through my mind. I was inspired by the shape of a kaleidoscope block, and that's what kind of got me thinking, okay, what if I made a square and I sliced, kind of dissected it at angles? So if I did it at slight angles, what would that do? And that's what resulted in this quilt here. And what's even more exciting is after I made this, I had been recently published in McCall's Quilting for one of my original secondary design quilts. Well, that's when, and I'm gonna show you, I got a prop. That is when American Quilter asked me if I had anything to submit. They proactively reached out to me, and I was blown away that someone would actually reach out to me and say, hey, would you like to submit something? So this is the January 2014 issue, which features this quilt. Like, how cool is that? And because it's kind of hard to see, what I want to show you, and you can see in here, the block assembly and how it's just a really cool block. It's different, and there's a lot of opportunities with how you might be able to make it. I do sell this pattern on my website and on Etsy if you're interested, but the other really cool thing about this quilt is the quilting. I sent this out to the Angela Walters, who I consider a friend, and she was so gracious enough to quilt this for me. And I love what she was able to do with it because I didn't give her any instructions. I just sent her the quilt. She quilted it in an all gray thread, which from your angle, you can't tell. And that's a great thing about a light gray thread, is you can't see it on anything. And she ended up really just amping this quilt up and looking at some of the secondary designs and how she might be able to kind of pull out certain elements. Because this quilt was made with fabric from my stash. I went in and pulled some stuff to see what did I have. So I couldn't tell you, I mean, I think this is a Kate Spain fabric here, the purple. The blue square I can tell is a Lizzie House pearl bracelet, but I couldn't tell you what brand, what fabric that gray is. I mean, I could probably pull a bunch of colors, card swatches out. Couldn't tell you the orange. And I think that's a cool thing, is I just pulled a bunch of stuff out. The other thing is I wanted the blue square right here to be very subtle and pull into the background. And I really wanted the purple and orange to stand out. That was going to be the primary focus of this quilt, which does give it a little bit of a Halloween feel because you've got those oranges and purples. And I don't know, I don't always associate purple with Halloween, but orange, yes. And I think those two together do elicit that feel. And that's what's really cool about this. So why don't I bring you in, look at some of the quilting. I did use one fabric on the back that I will bring you in to show you. And I bought an entire bolt of that fabric at Martin's, which is a discount fabric store. Well, it's kind of like a home store and they have a fabric section. And I just use that on the back. So why don't I bring you in, show you the details, because wow, the quilting is incredible. The batting on this is going to be a Quilter's Dream, either select. It is select, it's either cotton or orient. And then the thread is whatever Angela ended up using. My guess is it's a so fine, it could be a glide. And then it was pieced using Aurifil thread. And again, I think it's important to disclose some of that stuff because I'm always really curious. And for generations to come, hopefully that information lives on so that you know more about this quilt. I'm gonna bring you in to look at some of the details and then we'll close it out right back here. Okay, look at that detail of the quilting. And this is what I mean about what Angela did. Like, look at that square of blue and how she used that as an opportunity to really accentuate it. There's all this negative space in a way with the gray. So if we stand back a little bit, you can see a couple of those together. And this really gives you a good idea of how the gray can really be a fun, cool, featured element instead of the purple. And again, looking at it this way, instead of seeing the pinwheel, you see a little bit of a circle. So there's so many opportunities here. You see, she chose to accentuate that square. And it is kind of backlit with the lighting the way that I have it, so you can see the seams, but I'm okay with that. You can see what she did inside the purple and the orange there, which I think really complements the quilt itself. It's all done in one color thread. And I chose to bind it with the Lizzie House Pearl bracelet again. But I really think it just kind of brought the quilt together. And you can tell on the ends here, instead of doing that like swirly bit, she just did a bunch of straight lines. And they're not perfect. This isn't a show quilt. This is something for me to love. And now I will take you back here to look at the back of the quilt. And you can see, like I like to do in most of my quilts, it's just one solid back. And this was just, I have no idea the brand, who this is by. I liked it, I bought a bolt, it was cheap, great for a back. You'll see it on other quilts as well. But it just really complemented it, and you can see the gray in the back and the quilting really well. All right, how cool is that this quilt was featured in this magazine? Like I keep all the magazines that I'm published in because I just think that's really fun and cool. So this is a quilt that I love, and I bring this on trunk shows with me, and it always gets a great reception, especially that quilting. Angela, thank you so much. I cannot thank you enough for the inspiration that you have given the entire quilting community around your quilting, machine quilting, all of that. It's just fantastic. And to say that I have a few quilts that she has quilted is such an honor. I love this quilt. I hope you do too. And until next time, I hope this at least sparked you to think about quilting in new ways, or even just getting creative in your own light. If you're not a quilter and are just here to kind of catch up with me on an afternoon or morning whenever you're watching this. But until next time, get out there, create something beautiful, Have a fantastic day. I'll see you real soon.